So I picked up an order of these tomato cages or vegetable cages. I picked them up for about $5 each. I ordered 10. They were like $58, something around there. So $5 to $6 each. They're pretty nice. They're a big size, and they're actually a little larger than I thought they would be. What I don't like is the shiny black. So those are getting spray painted today. And then I'll add some additional elements to make it look a little bit more like home decor rather than vegetable decor. As you can see, I'm using Rust-Oleum 2 times paint and primer in one as my spray of choice. This is typically what I do whenever I spray something. I'm going to be honest, I don't hardly ever spray paint. It's only things like this that are just crazy because I find spray painting to be stinky and messy and not very cost efficient. But for these cages, it was really the only way to attack them. Once my cage is dry, I want to take some 220 grit sandpaper and just give everything a light sand. I know that because I've spray painted wire, that over time it is going to get a little chippy. You know, it's just going to show some of that black underneath. So I'd rather it look purposeful than it look damaged. And so I'm just going to go ahead and give it a very light distress. I find as a crafter, keeping nice linen color muslin in your stash is always a good thing. Sometimes I can get away with getting like shower curtains or sheets if they're nice at the thrift stores and what have you. But here I am just cutting off about 1-inch strips. Now that I have all of my 1-inch strips pulled, I've got 10 of these cages. Remember, I'm only doing one for the video, but I'm going to need a lot of muslin. I am just simply wrapping it around that bottom strip of wire. And this is going to make it so that if you set it on a table or something like that, if there's any of the loose wires there, that you're not going to scratch the surface of your table or whatever you set it on. And it's a decorative finish as well. It was really hard to keep this in frame. I would get it in frame and then I would do the work and then I'd find I was no longer in frame. It's a round surface. It was hard to keep it in frame, so I apologize. But this really is just about wrapping it around the wire on the bottom. Next, I'm just going to make a shabby bow, some cutting strips, probably about 6 inches long, and I have a couple different fabrics. This is a black and white shower curtain. I originally wanted to use this to wrap around the bottom of the cage, but it wouldn't tear, so I had to cut each strip, and I didn't want to cut that many strips. So using it for a shabby bow was a much better way to incorporate it. Once you have, I don't know, maybe I think I have about 9 pieces, maybe 5 of the black and white and 4 of the muslin, then you're just going to kind of lay them in a crisscross pattern. And then I chose to have one extra long piece of muslin that I am going to use to tie this right around it into a bow, and then I will attach it to my cage. I do find the fluffing of this to be sort of where all the ooh ah is on it. This is such an easy technique. And then I trim off sort of pieces that are too long. Just fluffing and trimming is the way that you get the bow kind of how you want it. And of course, adding more or less strips to it. I do feel like I have to laugh a little bit because this silver tray is so huge that it makes this cloche look small, but I promise you the cloche is giant. I mean, you can see how tall things are in it. I really like how this project came out, and I plan on charging about $25 each for these. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I had my friend Jackie over at ruthandruby.com cut out these bunnies for me. We are starting to do craft kits on our Wednesday night whatnots, and this is one of the 3 projects that I asked her to cut out for me. It's the only one I managed to get done for this week's video, but you can always check us out on Whatnot to see what fun crafty projects are going to be coming up. I will have a couple more in next week's video. I am using Dixie Belle's Vintage Duck Egg, which is one of my favorite colors. It's definitely kind of a French blue with a gray undertone. It's perfect for these projects, this spring Easter collection, I think. And you'll notice that I have a bunch of bunnies stacked up. There's actually 6 in a stack, and I'm making 3 sets of garland I have all the holes pre-cut and everything. If you can't pick any up on our Wednesday night whatnot, you can also go to ruthandruby.com and check her out. I'll leave links in the description below. She's going to be adding most of the cutouts that we're doing on her website, so that will help you. Now I'm going to stencil sort of a floral pattern. I have a mandala stencil that has like little tulips on it, and I am just going to go ahead and stencil those right on the bunny. I know a lot of people struggle with stenciling, so I just wanted to give you sort of a quick lesson on stenciling, and that is make sure that if you're using the same stencil on multiple pieces, that your stencil is clean on both sides. Make sure the paint on your brush is dry. You actually want to make sure you get most of the paint off. You should not have any shiny paint on your brush. And then try to start off on a plastic area instead of the openings. And you'll see I swirl my brush. I do not pounce my brush. Pouncing will almost always give you a too liquid brush pushed under dirty look on your stencils. Now on these bunnies, I have decided to stencil them on both sides. Fortunately, stenciling, if done properly, dries really fast. So that took almost no time at all to dry. And now I'm going to take 220 grit sandpaper and give them all a good distress. I want to see the wood come out from underneath, and I want to be sure that all of the stenciling that I did is very soft and muted. You probably don't have to do this next part, but for me, it just is part of how I do things. I want to give these little bunnies some little pink rosy cheeks on both sides. And to do that, I am taking a Q-tip and actual blush, actual pink blush. I thought about putting it in the ears, but then I didn't like it. So I just sort of used my finger and rubbed it right back off. We will seal these later, so it won't wear off over time. But I just love their little pink rosy cheeks. In years past, I would have used a stylus and some black paint, probably Fusion Coal Black, and just dotted some little eyes and let them dry. But since I have to give these all these bunnies little eyeballs, and I got to get this video done tonight, Sharpie it was. All right, we are almost done with the bunnies. Here, I am just going to take them outside and give them a clear coat of polyacrylic spray. Krylon is usually my spray of choice. I am not sure what I actually was using today, but got to do both sides and let them dry completely before you move on. Yay! More cutting and tearing of little strips because we need some pretty little gingham bows. This is actually vintage gingham, but yeah, I need some little gingham bows on my little bunnies because what says springtime more than green gingham? Now, we also happen to sell this Cascadia um, garland, this bead garland on our What Night shows. We sell them on Wednesday and Thursday nights and until we run out. And they're running about $5 each for the bead strands. And they're 90 inches long, I believe. So you add the set of 6 bunnies to it, and we are good to go. There is a process that if you want to make these yourself that I found to be the easiest way of doing that. And that was to cut some twine about 8 inches long, loop it over the beads, and then tie your muslin strip, and then add your bunnies, and then do a little gingham bow. Using this process just seemed to be the easiest way for me to get this done. I actually did try a couple different methods, and this was the best one. I'm really upset that I only made 3 strands of these tonight. I do have more bunnies and I do have more beads. I can make more, but I love them on my hutch. So I might have to keep a set for myself. I think they're just completely adorable. They came out exactly as I imagined them and what I asked for from Jackie. So yay. Okay, I'm not going to do a ton of showing the sewing process on this. My space just isn't set up for that. But I have this old quilt that, as you can see, has seen better days. So I'm turning it into some spring decor. And I'm going to show you a couple of projects that I've done. This is my bunny shape. I've started learning this is pointless, so just going around it. And I've also learned that if I
fold the fabric in half and then pin the bunny to it and just sew around it. That seems to be the best option so far. So I'm going to show you what I've done with it. This is the one I actually sewed this morning. And so this is where I folded it in half. And I found that when I did it where I do the usual method of turning it inside out, that the turning part, because this quilt is so heavy and so thick that, I mean, you can see on the sides that it took forever and it was very painful, both literally and figuratively, to turn it inside out. So instead, I'm going to have these raw seams. This is the first one that I made. This is my prototype. And you can see he's got that little paw area there. And I added a little heart and, you know, some bows. I added a little pink nose and an eye. This is my least favorite one. I do really like the colors, but it's my least favorite one so far. I decided I really didn't like the little pink nose. Sue thought he was cute, but I don't like it. So I didn't do that one again. And then I did this one, and I sewed it up so he can actually stand, which I like. I need to go back in and sew his ear because my machine is not making it through that ratty mess. So again, he's pretty cute. I just added a bow and this little heart here. I think he's pretty cute. A lot of the details seem to get lost when folding them inside out. So you can see the shape of his nose is much better. So I sewed him up, cut him apart with sort of a large, heavy pair of scissors. And then I just went back in with a smaller pair of scissors and cut it a little closer to the seams. But you can see I'm going to have lots of room to stretch. So I just kind of wanted to show you my process on this. Oh, and then because where I cut this particular quilt, it still had some of this binding. Instead of doing a heart on this one, I am going to use this as my little pouch. Hand sew it on and then add some florals coming around. I may or may not add lace around here. I'm not sure. Probably will, just to give it a little separation and dimension. Other projects that I've been working on, again, not really so much of a DIY, but, oh, before I move on, this, I will make this available to you. I'll put a link in the description so that if you want this bunny shape, you can download it. All right, these are other projects I have been working on. These are vintage handkerchiefs or doilies or what have you. And so I've made them into little lavender sachets. So I've just kind of cut up them into little hearts where they were already sewn. I added some fluff, some of the, the poly stuffing mix, as well as rice and lavender. So it can be a pincushion, but the rice and lavender also work well as a sachet. So these are just my little things. And then here, I cut my lace about 3 times the length of the heart, and then just sort of did a gathering stitch and then hand sewed these onto the hearts. So that really, honestly, I did this because I didn't like the way my seams looked on it, so I needed something to hide the seam. And so that's kind of my methodology for hiding the seam. But I did get 4 little sachets out of 1 cloth here, and then 2 of these bigger ones. I'm hoping to get more done before market. These will be good evening tasks when I'm sitting and watching TV, because there is lots of hand sewing and stuffing in these.
And here is the glamour shot of this little bunny. And of course, I had to use them in the cloche too, because how cute is that? So you can kind of see how they came out. I will include the pattern in the link in the description below, so you can download that and make them yourself if you want. And I thought I would just show you some other projects that I worked on this week, which was cleaning out some more of my silver stash. This is all silver that was ruined and wasn't really clean upable anymore. I love this Edwardian set, but we just could not make it look good as silver. Painting it, I added some IOD transfers to it. And then I also took the lids because, you saw me in the last time. I wanted you to see that you don't have to be just like plain white with these projects either. There's other fun things that you can do. The creamers were actually missing their handles, and the sugar was missing a handle. So again, these were great projects that would never be good as their original silver. Let me know in the comments what you think. And as always, we appreciate you spending your time with us today. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit like, subscribe, and share with a friend.